Hello everyone. Today I want to talk about something which is scientific in nature, which happened with me, and talking about some of my health experiences. I was having a few years back certain symptoms which were very similar to COVID, but again, certain things with COVID and other disease states can have certain similarities, like the cytokine storm that one experiences during COVID can also be seen in some other immunocompromised diseases, such as cancer. Or you can also get it when you have a thyroid storm going on, and that feverishness might be similar. And the other subsequent symptoms that you get along with the intense sweating and sunlight sensitivity and feverish sweat, or disturbed sleep patterns and hot cold patterns. These are all cytokine symptoms, storm related or thyroid storm related symptoms. And I experienced a bunch of these symptoms during 2020, which was during the peak time of COVID. There was a lot of lockdown going on in India, and I got so sick that I didn't have the strength to go and see a doctor. And by the time I did actually go and see the doctor, some of the symptoms had subsided. I was having some mixed symptoms from other disease states, and the few doctors that I saw, they couldn't quite diagnose what was going on. The only one clear report that came for me was that I had a thyroid nodule here in my throat that had occurred. The nodules had grown in this thyroid region when I was in US, which was almost the nodules were detected almost like 14 years, 15 years back. And they had I had done a couple of follow-ups in US, but the last time the follow-up was recommended for me to do an ultrasound was in 2015 or 2014, and I was going through a intense divorce and bad marriage patch phase, and I wasn't sure whether I'm going to live in US or whether I'm going to move out of US. And in all that confusion, I didn't bother to check my thyroid. And most of my life, my thyroid hormones, I have not got a single instance when my thyroid hormones have been off. And one FNAC done on this nodules in US had shown that they were benign nodules. So even though it was a scary incident, it wasn't so scary because it turned out to be benign. So I had completely forgotten about my thyroid related issues. And when I moved back to India, and it's been almost 8 years since I moved back, nearly going to be 8 years now. And in that time, I never bothered to think about it so much. I didn't follow up about the thyroid thing, even though I was a pharmacist in US and I should have known some of these symptoms. Because this is not part of my regular work, I had completely forgotten about this. But when I got these, I was having breathing trouble, I was having a whole range of symptoms. And now some of the new age stuff suggests that some of these symptoms that I was going through is called part of awakening or ascension symptoms. But they also mimic many diseases. They mimic simple diseases like cold and stomach flu and viral infections, to very complex diseases like cancer. And for me, what happened was, even though I hadn't followed up on my thyroid for so many years, eventually when I did go and follow up on it a few years back, it turned out that these nodules could be cancerous. They had grown in size, and it had been almost like 12 years since the reports were done, and 9 years since the last follow up was done in US. And when they did a checkup on it, what they found was that the nodules, some of the nodules had grown into lesions. So what has happened is, when a nodule is there, it is a tumor like small granular growth in your thyroid organ. And when it has transitioned into a lesion, what does it mean? Like how sometimes we get lesions in or cold sores in our under the tongue or in our lips, but inside, when we get those sores, those are like open blisters, right? So a nodule, when it breaks open and has become an open wound, that is what a lesion is. And that's what was there in my thyroid parathyroid region. So, and one of the symptoms that was coming up for me, apart from the fever and other things that had happened with me, was that I was having ache and a little bit of a achy feeling here, like when they were doing the ultrasound and they were pushing the ultrasound knob around this area to detect any of the growth in this area. At the time, there was a pain that was happening every time they touched a particular area, and that is the one which was turning out to be a follicular lesion. Other nodules were still there intact and hadn't broken, but this one had turned into a lesion, I'm presuming. And the other problem that was happening with me, and you can research the thyroid storm and cytokine storm symptoms. I have also written about it in some of my online social media posts. I can post a link to it. But my main goal for making this video is to inform people how in our normal lives we're doing things that can escalate us from a normal non-cancerous benign health problem to a cancer like phase. And it is also possible for us to go from a cancer like phase back to a normal phase if we take certain precautions. So these are the precautions that I have taken. I don't think I am technically, based on some of the reports that have come up, I'm in a pre-cancerous like stage. I'm kind of afraid to go to the doctor because I don't want this lesion to be operated or any of the organs to be disturbed with. That's why I haven't gone to a doctor. And the other thing is, I wasn't yet in the cancer stage. So most of the Indian doctors, unless a patient is in a critical stage where their diagnostic reports are showing that something is wrong with the patient, they do not consider the other factors as an important factor. But I had seriously a lot of factors that show to me symptomatically that I have something really wrong going on with my body. And the only reason that I stemmed the flow of the disease from going into worse directions was because I was taking, I was doing meditation sometimes energy healing techniques I was trying to use on this, and I was always doing a lot of preventative care. So one thing that started happening with me shortly before this precancerous thing was detected, like few months and 8-9 months before, when I was in the middle of the thyroid storm like phase or cytokine storm like phase, I was feeling highly sensitive to sunlight, as well as highly sensitive to the ultraviolet tube lights that we use in India, or the LED lights that we use nowadays in India. And these LED lights, because the home in which I stay, even now, look at it, this room, it's a small room, but the LED light is not able to light up the whole room because it's a small LED light. But even this light is sometimes causing me intense sensitivity, heat sensitivity, like my skin feels as if it's burning up. And because it's a small room and it's not near the window, in the daytime there's not enough sunlight that penetrates this room, because of which I end up like turning on these lights for almost like 22 hours in the day. In the nighttime also, sometimes when I feel a little sad or scared, I don't turn off the lights. So that's why I end up having like at least minimum 20 hours of LED artificial lighting inside the house. I don't work outside. Sometimes I will go outside for a walk for half an hour or 1 hour in the mornings or evenings. But most of the time I'm inside this room. Or even if I'm not in this room, I'm in the kitchen. There also the lighting is poor, so we have to use a LED fluorescent bulb there. So no matter what, my exposure to this LED light had suddenly increased a lot, and I realized like my body wasn't able to take this 20 hours or over 20 hours of exposure. So when the precancerous stage came up, I was doing some reflection. I was looking up what could be the causes that a cancerous condition could come up in the body. And there are all these. One was my own body telling me what I'm getting sensitive to. The ultraviolet light of the sun, afternoon sun, was also burning to my skin. So I avoided going out in the afternoon if possible. I didn't go out when I still don't go out when it's too hot outside. And inside the house, inside the rooms, I have started taking precautions so that this intense LED light or fluorescent light from the kitchen and all, if it is causing this light sensitivity on my skin, it also causes light sensitivity in the eyes. These are the two places where when you are having a cytokine storm or a thyroid storm, you will get these sensitivities. Or if you're having a worse symptom like cancer, then also you can start getting these sensitivities. So, and this is also part of ascension related symptoms, because in ascension also, what videos if you watch, they talk about the fact that light is coming, light rays are being sent to earth to help us, elevate our consciousness. But that light ray also can become very sensitive, raise the sensitivity of our skin to the light, especially if something underlying is going on with our immune system, and which is what was happening with me. I have a very weakened immune system currently. My sensitivities and allergies to many foods and water related contaminations had increased, which is again partly ascension symptom, you can just say, because in ascension also people will get flu like symptoms, people will have sensitivities to food and water and other stuff in the environment. But the reason why you're developing this sensitivity is because if your water supply has some contamination via chemicals that are generally considered to be normal use in the pipelines, or chemicals that have seeped into a broken pipeline and hence contaminating your water supply, any kind of skin sensitivity you're getting to your water, any kind of sensitivity you're getting to the chemicals in your food, everything will start showing up in your body and your body will start resisting it, because that is the part of us trying to go into either a new stage of life where we can become more aware about what is harmful for us, so that us as humans can stop using those things that are harmful for our body. And certain humans will become so sick that maybe they will eventually die, because some of the doctors and nurses and other healthcare providers will not be able to detect what is going on. They will consider you to have like normal allergy or normal inflammation, and they'll wait and wait and wait until you get worse. But the worst thing is that's going to happen is you will either get a cardiac arrest if you were having an intense thyroid storm and no one detected it, which is what happened with me. Or I didn't get a cardiac arrest, but my cardiac heart rate was all over the place initially, because what happens to a body when you're having a thyroid storm or cytokine storm, irregular heartbeat happens, because first it will cause intense increase in heart rate in order because your body is trying to fight the toxins, which is why you're getting the cytokine storm. There's some kind of toxic attack happening in your body, and those toxic cells the body is trying to fight. If you have cancer, the body is trying to fight the cancer cells. If you have some allergy and antibody response happening to anything that is attacking your body, like the virus, the COVID virus also that happened, that is how you get the cytokine storm, because all the cytokines are trying to like kill the virus and other external agents that are attacking your body. And anything that is harmful to your body is trying to fight it, while the body's defense mechanism is trying to fight it. It is becoming feverish, and that's how you get these intense sweat and fever and all these symptoms of cytokine storm. Okay, you go and research it. Even though I'm a pharmacist right now, my goal is to try to bring awareness about what happens to your health, and not symptomatically, but how you start feeling. And I was feeling extremely tired, I was feeling like this right now. Today I'm also feeling this after effect from some chemical laced ice cream that I had, and it was really terrible. That brand I've tried 2 times It has the most horrible chemicals in them. I don't know, maybe it's the manufacturing factory of the brand, or the chemical they use for coloring the ice cream or flavoring the ice cream. Whatever it is, it's some ingredient in the ice cream that is highly toxic and poisonous. And this is what is going to happen to anyone who is doing more clean living, clean eating, has been trying to do clean living and clean eating. Their body is trying to clear away all the horrible toxins that this world has from their body. But if your exposure, depending on the city or country or state where you live in, the higher the level of pollution, the higher will be the impact on your health if you have been doing a lot of clean things. Because imagine, if you imagine your body to be like a very clean copper pot. Okay, it's a small copper pot that sometimes Indians use for prayers and stuff, by giving water to God, offering water to God, or a copper pot that you use for watering your plants. If it is like brown and shiny, like how copper is supposed to shine, it has that copper shine to it, and it's a clean pot. But if there is pollution in the environment where you live, what happens to the pot? It starts getting dirty, and if you don't clean it up, it gets dirtier and dirtier. And if you don't understand the source of the chemicals, or even if you understand, you can't control the chemicals in the environment, it will get darker and darker depending on where you live. The same copper pot, if it stays in an environment where the copper doesn't react with the atmosphere or any other pollution in the atmosphere, the copper pot will stay shiny in a cleaner environment. Whereas in a less clean environment, more acidic environment, more reactive environment, it will start turning black in color. And in order to make that new copper pot again back to the new phase, you have to keep cleaning it up regularly. So body is like that. We have to keep cleaning it up regularly when it is getting exposure to all these toxins. But our body has a limit. A copper pot also, we have to scrub it, right? The deeper the deposits on it, the more unclean it is. You have to scrub harder, you have to clean harder. Same with us. If the degree of pollution in your environment from your food, water, air is really high, more energy needs to be expended, more systems have to be in optimal functional condition. And if the level of cleaning needed is much less than what your body can produce or do, then you invariably fall sick and start getting cancer-like condition, COVID-like conditions, thyroid storm-like conditions to your health. So for me, some of the pollution in my food and water I cannot control. Whatever I buy from the grocery store, whatever is available in the market is what I'm going to get, right? But what can I avoid doing is the thing that I observe that I could avoid doing. One is, of course, anytime any brand starts tasting metallic, really awful, like paint like taste in them, or any of the processed foods that we get in the market. If they start, I bought like a vegan mango flavored ice cream, and same brands a few years back I had tried a vegan chocolate flavored ice cream. Both should be standard flavor, both should have just natural chocolate or natural mangoes in them. But India's laws are such bad laws that even if it is called vegan and organic and whatnot, the level of chemicals that are used for processing even a mango or growing a mango is a lot of chemicals are used in it. Likewise for anything, be it vegan, be it organic, be it regular raised fruits and vegetables, they have a lot of chemicals being used in India, which is something people need to look at. In US at least, I used to live in US earlier, so over there at least in the organic chemical free foods, relatively I felt this toxic chemical exposure was slightly less. But again, I lived there 8 years back, so at that time my body wasn't as sensitive as it is right now. So if I currently go and live in the same place where I used to live earlier, I don't know if my health would start detecting the chemicals in that environment as well. There was a couple of chemicals that I had detected over there as well, but even then the relative amount of pollution in US is much less compared to in India, or rather in Utah. Salt Lake City, Utah was much less than Mumbai, Navi Mumbai, India. Okay. And in India, I have been to Mumbai, I've been to Navi Mumbai, I've been to Kolkata and a couple more other places, but the level of pollution has been more or less higher than what I've experienced in US, especially in our water and in our air, and that invariably impacts our vegetables and fruits and other things that we are consuming in our life. So because of all that, while I can't control what kind of food I'm getting in the market, I've tried to raise some food at home, but the level of pollution in our water and air is so bad that some of the plants are growing for a while and then they are dying. And the other thing is, but the thing that I can avoid doing, what am I avoiding? One is this 20 hours of LED light exposure. I'm trying to reduce it to 8 hours if possible, or less. There was a house that I used to live in where the sunlight was good, so I didn't have to use LED lights except in the evening times. And if I restrict it only to, like, after 7, because in Mumbai, sunset happens around 6:30. So after that, if I turn on the lights, and from 7 to early morning, if you wake up by 4 o'clock or 5 o'clock, then you don't have to use the LED light so much. And even from 7 to 10 only if you use it, and then in the rest of the night if you try to avoid it by using a night lamp instead, if someone needs light while sleeping, that's one way to do it. So I have been trying to reduce my exposure to LED light, and anytime I did this for a while and I was recovering, but again the food and water quality made me get worse again in health. And that's why this LED light that I have been using, for a while I wasn't getting sunlight and the light sensitivity or sunlight sensitivity, but again I have started getting the light sensitivity on my skin, and my skin feels heated up when I am exposed too much to the LED lights. And the other kind of radiation that my skin is getting sensitive towards is the radiation from our phones as well, and even our Wi-Fi connection. Some of the higher 5G connections are also sometimes not great for my health. So with the phone, one way to reduce the radiation from the phone is not have all the Wi-Fi and 3G both working at the same time. Either use Wi-Fi or use 3G, maybe that can help. Second is you can turn them all off when doing maybe these recording like things. That's something I thought of right now, which I should possibly do to reduce the exposure to all kinds of radiation. And the one main thing that I do nowadays is I ensure that my phone is at least 60-70% charged, because anytime the phone becomes below 50% in charge, I even find this phone having noise distraction when listening to videos on YouTube or any other media. So and which is what I was using my phone a lot lately, because I do all my online social media posts on it. I see a lot of social media. I don't use TV as much as often as I do watch any kind of media on my phone. And so my phone was also with me all the time for 20 hours a day. So now I'm slowly trying to cut down the use of phone, and if I'm using the phone, then I'm trying to at least make sure that the phone charges are over 50%, because that also helps in reducing the exposure of radiation from the phone. And because when I'm using the phone, most of the time my phone is in my hand like this, and I'm listening to a song or I'm looking at a video. So it's this area only of my face, which is exposed the most to the radiation of the phone. And because this area is exposed the most, that's why it's natural that I got a thyroid problem that escalated. And in US too, I used to use my phone quite a lot. I used to live alone by myself for a long time in US, and because I was alone by myself, I would turn on meditation music or just regular music on YouTube and turn on an app and fall asleep with the phone lying besides the bed. And I had an iPhone and Motorola phones, and for so many years, 5-6 years, I used iPhone. But despite an iPhone has lower radiation than this current phone, but even then, the radiation on the phone is high enough that because I was using it all the time, even over there in the night time, at least 5-6 hours, my phone would run while I fell asleep, and it would be half charged or uncharged by the time I woke up. And I wouldn't do it daily, but I would still do it like at least a couple of days in a week, because of which I guess I got the nodules initially that happened in US. And only now I'm realizing that that's why I might have had this problem come up in with my health. And so essentially, if you're getting sunlight sensitivity, heat sensitivity, intense sweat symptoms, and I also am trying to use headphones for listening to the phone so that the phone can be a little bit further away from me. But since I haven't practiced this a long time, it is a harder practice for me. But ensuring that the phone is charged and ensuring that and trying to cut down the phone use is another thing that I could possibly do. But I do everything on my phone. I write, I'm doing some writing stuff, that also I do mostly on the phone. So either I have to go back into manual writing mode, or I have to buy a phone which has much lower radiation than this one, because my worsening symptoms otherwise get escalated when exposure to radiation on the phone or radiation from the UV lights or even ultraviolet radiation from the afternoon time sun is high. My sensitive and highly precancerous body is not able to take it. And apart from all this, because my body has become very sensitive to chemicals, I've also started reduced using any kind of soaps that we generally use. Whatever soap brands used to work for me earlier, even those brands I use as minimally as possible. I'm trying to convert into using some natural cleansing agents and milder soaps, or detergents and shampoos. Like, not even soap, I used to use body wash and face wash, which are much less corrosive than soaps. But even those body wash, face wash, hand wash that we use in the normal dilutions were normally marketed products are causing sensitivity for me. So, and even the natural, whatever they tout as having natural flavor, those have such high degree of artificial scents in them or artificial chemicals in them that it's better to I stick to the brands that give me relatively less trouble. But even those normal brands that I used to use, I generally don't use it as much. Even shampooing and all, earlier I used to shampoo my hair like every other day or at least twice in a week. But now my shampooing has reduced to like once a year, or yeah, probably in one of these years it might have even got reduced to once a year when I was really sick. But right now it's like maybe once a month that I shampoo my hair. That too when I'm, say, going out for some job interview, or if I'm going out to shop or something and my hair looks really bad, or if I'm going to meet some friend, that's when maybe I will shampoo my hair. Otherwise I try to, even with my hair, I'm trying to use like some natural products to keep it cleaner, or just regular washing with water is enough. I don't like to use as such before any of my health problems happened, I was sensitive to many chemicals. So my chemical use in terms of makeup and everything was always very minimal. But now even normal makeups, I try to avoid them, because even the ones that market the products which are supposed to be earth friendly or organic and all that, they usually have some chemical ingredients in them that are not suiting my body anymore. So anyone who's undergoing ascension symptoms needs to watch out, keep a food diary and consumable diary possibly, to figure out which of the things and products that they use regularly that earlier didn't used to have any cause any health issues for them, might have started causing health issues. You can check out, it was initially, for me it initially started out as simple flu symptoms, stomach flu or viral flu like symptoms, or even simple minor scalp infection or dandruff or something. Not scalp infection, but I had like eczema, like a scaly scalp happening with me because of the products and water supply that we get. And initially I just ignored it, because thinking like I've moved back from US, so the water is different, that's why I'm getting this scaly skin flaking off from my scalp. But now, after this whole precancerous condition and thyroid storm, cytokine storm happened, I realized that the water contamination was causing this issue for me. So I'm very careful about adding any additional chemicals to my scalp, especially my scalp, but also my rest of my body. I'm trying to move towards natural products, and I've used all sorts of products that is not marketed for cleaning purposes, like Ayurvedic powders that someone has given for stomach cleansing. I've sometimes used it as a body scrub, because it's a chemical powder made of plant extracts, which are slightly more safer than the artificial, any brand's body wash, face wash. Very few rare brands have been agreeing with me currently, and those are the ones I stick to if possible. But I am minimizing the use of the chemicals in my life. So even for washing my clothes, I have done that. So anyone who's going through these kind of symptoms and found this video informative, and if you have any kind of questions about what I've presented in this video, please drop a comment, and I would be glad to reach out to you and help you out if you are also going through some of these symptoms that I mentioned in this video. Thank you. Bye.